New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio has become the 24th Democrat to join the 2020 presidential race. De Blasio announced his bid in a video posted to YouTube. In it, he says he's ready to take on President Trump. The mayor appeared on Good Morning America this morning with more on how he plans to do that.
Right now, the federal government is not on the side of working people. And that's because Donald Trump is playing a big con on America. I call him Con Don. Every New Yorker knows he's a con artist. We know his tricks. We know his playbook. I know how to take him on. I've been watching him for decades. He's trying to convince working Americans he's on their side. It's been a lie from day one. So I believe I'll be able to show the kinds of things we have done here are what's needed all over this country so working people can live better.
Well, following that interview, President Trump tweeted about the new candidate, saying, among other things, that de Blasio is a, quote, joke.
So joining us now is Politico reporter Laura Nahmias. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Laura.
Thanks for having me.
So, the first question that I asked you is, do you know what this is all about? Because there are a lot of candidates running, and we've had discussions about, who really thinks they can win, and who may be trying to elevate their name to, a national platform, who may be sort of planning not for this election, but maybe another election down the road.
Wants to be Secretary of State, whatever.
Yeah, what do you make of his announcement?
Well, we've been trying to report on this for months, and to the best that we can discern, he really does think that he could win. And to that point, he cites his win for mayor in 2013 when he won against a crowded field of Democrats. Nobody thought he was going to win. The frontrunner Christine Quinn underperformed. Anthony Weiner dropped out late in the race, and de Blasio surged late in the polls and took it all. So he is used to being underestimated. He says he loves to be the underdog, and he thinks that he has what it takes.
So we had a tweet there from President Trump, but I am intrigued with the back and forth that Mayor de Blasio has been having with some of the president's children, right? There was a really back and forth Twitter feed, Twitter war with Eric Trump, and I'm going to read it because I think it goes to the question that Emery was asking. Eric Trump wrote this on Twitter. First, you've never created a job in your life. Second, our great city has gone to S-word under your leadership. Crime is up. The men and women of the NYPD detest you. Homelessness is rampant. Our streets are dirty, and people are leaving our city in record numbers. Is Eric Trump right that this is an unpopular mayor in New York City?
Well, he's right that he's unpopular, but a lot of the things that he said in those tweets are not accurate at all.
The streets are dirty. I get all the hyperbole. Right. But I guess the point that I'm trying to understand is this narrative that Eric Trump put out there on the Twitter sphere, is that how a lot of New Yorkers feel? And what is that going to mean when you're trying to translate your appeal to a national audience if you're not able to win?
Well, what that means is that actually he has a record that he could run on. He has implemented universal pre-kindergarten in New York City. Crime is down to record lows in New York City, and those are the things that you are going to expect to see him run on when he goes around the country. Where the unpopularity could become a problem for him is if something bad happens back here in New York and he gets called back to do mayoral things when other candidates are able to be out on the stump, on the trail, doing the work of running for president. It's very hard to be the mayor of New York City and run for president at the same time, because being the mayor of New York City is a 24-hour-a-day job.
So his polling numbers here are not that high. They're not that great, right? No. But so where will he be finding support? Where does he think he'll find support?
Well, if you look at his polling numbers in New York City, one persistent dynamic that we've seen throughout his entire mayoralty is that he has consistently higher support from African Americans, from Black New Yorkers, from Hispanics, than he does from white New Yorkers, who have his unfavorables have been higher among white New Yorkers ever since he took office. So I think you'll expect to see him making appeals to Black Americans wherever he goes on the trail. He's made a lot of trips to South Carolina. And I think that that's where he thinks he's going to get his biggest base of support.
So it will be hard. Do you think that it will be hard to shake the culture wars? In other words, as you pointed out, crime in New York City is at a historic low. The president's son tweets that crime is up. Not true. But there is probably a perception in the Midwest that New York City is full of liberals and full of people, with, whatever people think of New Yorkers, right? And they think that we have a negative impression of people in the Midwest and in the South. I wonder if that could factor into how people make a decision.
I think that definitely will, because a lot of the polls are showing that people are really wanting to vote for someone who they think can beat Trump. And that means voting for someone who can cobble together a coalition that's not just liberals, not just Democrats. Bill de Blasio has been the mayor of New York City with an entirely Democrat-led government here in the city and more recently in the state. It's all Democrats at every level of higher office in New York. And all of the accomplishments that he's been able to achieve in the city have been with the support of an entirely Democrat-led city council and in all of the other elected offices. So he's going to have to make the argument to voters across the country that he can pull together Republicans and people from different political persuasions to do the big things that he's talking about.
You've talked to people in his circle.
Yes.
How do they feel about this?
They are almost uniformly against it. Some of them on the record say that they think that he has the right message and he's the wrong messenger. Others think that this can only hurt him in the final years of his mayoralty, especially if he doesn't win. They have counseled him not to do it, and he says, thank you for your advice, and I'm going to do it anyway.
All right.
One other thing New York has, Laura, high pollen count. You and I are both, our voices are a little scratchy today because our allergies are way up. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Really informative.